ठीक है चल ओके
लाइव कर दिया सर।
ठीक है ओके
हाँ मीट बन रहा
good evening everyone, am I audible? A quick confirmation would do. Great, thanks a lot Swati, Amrit, Tanvi. Great, that's a lot of you. Great. Sarvesh, uh, we'll see. I've prepared a lot of slides, so let's see how long does your energy last. So I'll take you through the strategy portion, and then gradually I have I have a set of slides. So let's see how long can we go, and yeah, we'll try to run this for 2 hours. That's what we'll try. Let's see your stamina. Let's see for how long can you listen to the fat bald man, the patience that you have. Hi Arijit. Yeah, that's an interesting comment by Edu Seva. 11-month guide. I planned it till December, included non-CAT exams as well. So hence 12th month guide. 11 for CAT and the other non-CAT exams as well. Hi Avril, hi Tushar, hi Sajal. Sure Sarvesh. Sure would do that. We'll have the iQuanta team in the comment section as well. So for example, any course related queries, questions that you have with respect to the technicalities, you can ask the iQuanta team as well. The team is there to support me and help me out with these queries, so they'll keep replying in the chat as well. So that's something that we'll keep doing. So we'll do that. Sarvesh will cover. That is exactly the agenda. That how exactly did I score, and so the point is, my philosophy is that it's really actually not about me. It's about the process, and we will be discussing the process that we need to adopt, and that is what we will be focusing on today. Great, good evening everyone. We'll just wait for another, I think, a minute or so, and I think people who have to join in would be uh, uh, we are almost there. So I think, yeah, I do, Seva, you're absolutely right. I have intentionally kept it 12 months. That's what I'm trying to put across. Great, yeah. So I think it's time for us to get started. Uh, very warm welcome to all, and great to have all of you here. Great to see this energy. Great to see all these learners here. I have, before I get started, I have a split screen setup. So I'll be looking to my left. I will be looking at your comments, and hence I'll turn on the left hand side, and that's what we'll be doing. And we'll go through a set of slides. We'll try to cover as much as possible. Sarvesh, I have that question specifically put in the slides. So in fact, you'll get the answer to that very, very shortly. Tushar, the bulk or the gist of the session is going to be in verbal. Wherever you need me to use Hindi as well, or wherever you need me to approach in a bilingual manner, please feel free to comment. I am comfortable explaining in Hindi as well, so we can do that, right? But to be honest, my preferred way of explaining things is in English. That's the default setting that I have, right? So that's the default operating system. Absolutely, Prab. We can expect a lot of things, but before we get to GMAT, let's get through these slides, right? And I'll explain everything related, right? So chalo, let's get started, guys. Great to have you here. We'll move on with the slides, and we'll try to just give me a shout out with respect to the mic. I think it's at max volume for me. So let's get through with the absolute basics. I'm starting off with something which is very, very basic in nature, right? And it's almost understandable that what we have here. It's the most basic slide that we can have, right? There is absolutely, to be honest, there is no knowledge addition here at this point of time, but we'll try to see that the content on the slide, why does it make sense? So CAT, how many of you have taken CAT previously? How many of you have appeared for CAT? Quick round, quick. Your answer should be super rapid. How many of you have taken CAT? So in terms of format, most of you would be aware of the fact that how is VARC in CAT structured, right? Some of you, I think Alicia here has not appeared, Aviril has not appeared, right? So primarily CAT has 4 RCs, right? So it's got a 16:8 split, 4 RCs, and that's the bulk of the syllabus, right? So that's thing number 1 on the syllabus. Then there is a reasoning portion of the CAT exam. Here in this slide, in this particular slide, at the starting point, I'm only talking about CAT. यहाँ पे सिर्फ CAT की बात हो रही है, दूसरे exams को नीचे segregate किया हुआ है. Parajumbles, odd one outs, which are also called misfit sentences. We will take up these question types one at a time, right? Paragraph completion, paragraph summary. अगर तुम इन दो टॉपिक्स को ध्यान से सोचोगे तो ये सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी है. पैराग्राफ की समरी बताना एंड पैराग्राफ कंप्लीशन, लास्ट लाइन बताना, राइट? सो that's how the exam is structured with respect to CAT. CAT specifically is, over the years, they've undergone a transformation, right? As you can see by the looks of it, I took CAT for the first time. I took it in pretty long time back, right? So then it was a different exam back then. In fact, I think I'm one of those people who's taken it on, I've taken the pen and paper test, right? So I took it back then as well. So back then the other topics were present in the exam. So now we've only got RC and reasoning. The other exams that we have, and that's why it was the 12-month guide at the start. So you've got other prominent exams. So this is when we say CAT, what happens is, as an industry, that's how we operate. But at the end of the day, you would be appearing for other B school exams as well. So that might include an NMAT, a SNAP, a ZAT, right? These are the other exams that you will be appearing for, right? Or in some cases, TIS, CMAT, so on and so forth, right? So there are a number of exams out there, primarily CAT, ZAT, NMAT, SNAP, the 4 major ones. Now these exams would have topics such as critical reasoning and a few more reasoning topics, which are generally classified under verbal reasoning, right? They would have a grammar portion and they would have a vocabulary portion, right? So in terms of syllabus, right, and that's why I have written it down as the absolute basics, because this is not something, there is no rocket science in this particular slide. I'm sharing no real insight with you. I'm just sharing the syllabus with you, right? So 100% just the syllabus bit, just the syllabus portion. We've got CAT, we've got RC, verbal reasoning, and the other exams, CR, grammar, and vocab. So that's the syllabus per se. What is it that you can infer from this slide? What is your inference from this slide? Right? Could I summarize this as an inference from this slide? Can this be my summary? Valid inference or invalid inference? Because remember, I'm here today to share some insights, right? Sharing facts really does not solve our purpose. If only I had to share facts, I was not needed. So that's what, on the surface, we see that you need to only cover RCs and some reasoning topics for CAT. For other exams, grammar, vocab, CR, critical reasoning, all of these come into the picture. In terms of marks, right? In terms of marks, this makes sense. If we have a very narrow tunnel vision, right? And if we keep our perspectives, we almost have you seen a horse with the blinkers on? Have you seen a horse with the blinkers on? Ever seen a blinkered horse? Horse with the blinkers. You've got horses, they've got their blinkers on the side. So that is what blinkered vision is, right? So when you have a blinkered approach, why do they have blinkers on the horse, right? Why do they put up that thing, the leather strap with the blinkers on? They put it up because they want the horse to only look in one direction and not get distracted, right? Just look straight. So if we have a blinkered vision here, right, and if we are looking at it from that perspective, then you only need to cover RC and some reasoning topics for CAT, right? But there is an association here, right, with vocabulary and critical reasoning in particular, and grammar at a very secondary level, right? What is the association here for these particular topics? Why do we need to keep these things in perspective? For CAT, RCs and the reasoning topics that we talked about are the scoring areas, right? But in order to improve your language skills, there is something that, this is my way of doing things. I think there was a question at the start of the session that how do you end up scoring, right? And how do you end up scoring well in CAT? So you've got to work on other areas as well. So one of the most common mistakes that I see in students is that you look at the syllabus and you decide that grammar and vocab, we are not going to really pay a lot of attention. Grammar, you can still get away with it, right? Instinctively, because if you take non-CAT exams, then it's important from a scoring perspective. Vocab is something that you guys should work on, right from the start. At a subconscious level, what happens is, so for example, we covered the word blinkered. In the same way, at a subconscious level, with everything you learn, right, with all the words that you learn, your understanding, your comprehension, it improves, right? So that's happening at a subconscious level. हमें नहीं पता यार कौन सा वर्ड कहाँ पे जाके फिट होगा, ठीक है? जो हमने वर्ड सीखे थे, ठीक है? ऑब्सेस नहीं करना, ऑब्सेसिव लेवल पे वोकैबुलरी नहीं सीखनी, ठीक है? रजिस्टर से रजिस्टर और रजिस्टर नहीं बढ़ते जाने, ठीक है? बट एक certain minimum level of vocabulary is required, right? So that you can comprehend text. That's it. It's as simple as that. For comprehension of text, that is something that is required. It was 99 point something here. I don't recall the exact now marks. It was in 2006, so it's like a long time back. नहीं यार प्रभजोत, vocab luck based नहीं है actually, ठीक है? तो vocab के questions देख रहा है वो अलग चीज़ है, but vocab luck based नहीं है, ठीक है? Once you have a bare minimum understanding of the language, right? Once you have that basic instinctual feel of the language, when you start to understand the language, then vocabulary, it goes away from being a luck based thing, right? क्योंकि आपको अगर एग्जैक्ट डिक्शनरी डेफिनेशन शायद ना भी पता हो, पर आपको उसका कंटेक्चुअल मीनिंग ज़रूर पता होगा, एंड दैट इज़ प्रिटी मच इनफ, दैट कीप्स यू सॉर्टेड, राइट? उतना ही चाहिए. Next is critical reasoning. That is another topic that you should do. I think one of the questions, I believe it was Prabjot's question, that GMAT VA RCB. Critical reasoning अगर देखा जाए तो अगर in terms of topics and in terms of applicability, it's a direct topic in the GMAT exam, right? And that's where it's a major topic. But what happens is that GMAT teaches you, critical reasoning, it teaches you a way of thinking. It teaches you the art of argumentation, right? So that is very, very important, right? Understanding arguments. So that's something that you do, that's something that you apply and you learn. So the reason for doing, or the reason for covering CR here, is you learn argumentation, and that has an indirect relationship with RC. Not a direct relationship, but it does have an indirect relationships. So that's why these topics become important, right? Absolutely, Nirav, I am 100% saying CAT में vocabulary के questions नहीं आते, ठीक है? तो मैं तो बोल ही नहीं रहा, मैं बोल रहा हूँ अगर डायरेक्ट मार्क्स के लेंस से देखोगे ना तो vocab करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, ठीक है? पर एक मेरा बड़ा सिंपल सा सवाल है, ठीक है? मेरा सबके लिए बहुत ही सिंपल सवाल है. अगर तुम्हें अपनी लैंग्वेज में अंडरस्टैंडिंग बढ़ानी है, ठीक है, हम एक रीजनिंग का एक सिंपल सा चार्ट लेते हैं, ठीक है? एक रीजनिंग का एक सिंपल सा एक फ्लो चार्ट बनाते हैं, ठीक है? जहाँ पे हम कॉमन सेंस लॉजिक लाइफ का यूज़ करते हैं. मुझे अगर मैं बोलूँ आरसी क्या होता है, मोटा मोटा बहुत ही सिंपल लेवल में आरसी क्या है? पैसेज है, पैसेज के बाद क्वेश्चंस है, ठीक है? यार जो स्कूल में हम आरसी करते थे वो बड़ा अच्छा होता था, ठीक है? स्कूल वाले आरसी तो बड़े सही होते थे, ठीक है? क्वेश्चन पढ़ा, वो वाला फैक्ट जाके ढूंढा लाइनों में और आंसर आइडेंटिफाई कर लिया, ठीक है? यही होता था ना स्कूल वाले आरसीज में, तो स्कूल लेवल पे तो हमने यही किया. बट दैट इज समथिंग दैट इज नॉट गोइंग टू हैपन नाउ. यहाँ पे तो होगा नहीं, ठीक है? यहाँ पे यू आर सपोज टू इन्फर, यू आर सपोज टू फिगर आउट मीनिंग, सो यू आर सपोज टू फाइंड आउट ऑल दोज थिंग्स. सो यहाँ पे हमें थोड़ा सा हमारा एक रीजनिंग का लेवल एडवांस हो जाता है, और थोड़ा का मतलब आई एम अंडर सेलिंग इट, काफ़ी एडवांस हो जाता है, ठीक है? सो वो कंपैरिजन नहीं रहता है. अब अगर तुम्हें वो, इफ़ यू हैव टू, इन समरी, इफ़ यू हैव टू रीड बिटवीन द लाइन्स, अगर वो मीनिंग निकालना है लाइनों के बीच में से, ठीक है, और वो अंडरस्टैंड करना है बेसिकली, तो तुम्हें क्या स्किल चाहिए होगा? स्किल कौन सा चाहिए होगा तुम्हें? अगर तुम्हें अंडरस्टैंड करना है, स्किल कौन सा चाहिए होगा? वॉट इज द स्किल दैट यू विल रिक्वायर? Which is the basic skill that you require? Amarnath, I'll switch between both. I'll make sure that I repeat in English as well, whatever I say in Hindi. So I'll keep both languages. So I'll make sure everything is explained in English so that you don't miss anything. These are people who are not from a Hindi speaking background. So the skill that is required is, Pratyush, absolutely right. Focus, critical thinking, etc., etc. All those skills are required, right? Vocabulary reading, these are all understanding of vocab. We are looking at it secondary level, right? So the skill that is required is RC. It's kind of self-explanatory. You require, for solving RCs, you require comprehension. Comprehension basically, in other words, in simpler words, is understanding, right? It is what you figure out in a passage. What is it that you derive? What is it that you read between the lines, right? Now this figuring out ka bit, the whole of it revolves around your understanding of the language. Would I be fair in saying that your understanding of the passage is actually your understanding of the language, right? How much of that language do you understand? That is what it is, right? At the end of the day, you have to understand the language. What are its core components? How does that language operate? How does that language work? Now language, structurally, semantically speaking, language works on grammar and vocabulary. Those are the two pillars upon which language is based. So at the end of the day, for you to have that understanding of the language, vocabulary does play a role. The one great thing with comprehensions is that you do not require dictionary definitions. Dictionary definitions are not required. You require contextual understanding, and I don't even have to say it. How do you develop contextual understanding of words? Which is the one activity that you do? You use there is one verb that you will use here. Which is the one activity? It is so सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी, मुझे बोलने में भी शर्म आ रहा है कि मतलब कैसे ही बोलूँ, क्या ही बोलूँ तुम्हें. रीडिंग, राइट? So effectively reading is what is drives it, right? अरे यार ये एडू सेवा, ये अच्छा कमेंट था, लाइक करो सब, सर की मेहनत को लाइक करो. ये तो मैं भूल गया. So it's always, I have always thought about sharing something completely unrelated to the session now. I've always thought about coming live on YouTube, and I have always been bitten by the bug of procrastination. जाएंगे जाएंगे जाएंगे. तो आज हम finally YouTube पे live आ गए. And so मैंने सोचा था कि YouTube पे live जाऊंगा तो ये सब बोलूँगा सबको. मतलब वो एक होता है ना, वो काफ़ी ज़्यादा एनर्जी वाले सेशन होते हैं जहाँ पे लोग कहते हैं कि 400 लाइक हो जाएं तो मैं अगली स्लाइड पे जाऊँगा, 500 लाइक हो जाएं तो मैं अगला सवाल कराऊँगा, ठीक है, और मतलब ये हो जाए तो मतलब ठोको लाइक, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा, ऑल दैट स्टफ, राइट? सो दैट्स अ लिटिल डिफिकल्ट फॉर मी एज अ पर्सन. तो आई विल it's not about people, right? It's generally in sessions, right? A lot of comedians, a lot of people who do a lot of live streaming do that, right? Influencers and all. So you will have to, my humble submission to all of you would be that I'm also new to live streaming. So this is something which is new to me. So I think it should be apparent by now that this is a new skill that I'm learning. And I've taken a lot of sessions on Zoom, and so this is now migration to YouTube live streaming. So ठीक है, धीरे धीरे I think we'll grow and improve. So that's how it is. तुम लोगों को रीडिंग इम्प्रूव करना है, ठीक है? देखो, तुम्हें रीडिंग और कॉम्प्रिहेंशन इम्प्रूव करना है, अपने को लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग इम्प्रूव करना है. तो काइंड ऑफ एक है एक्सचेंज ऑफर, ठीक है? ग्रेट यार सौविक, दैट इज़ अ बिग हेल्प, राइट? थैंक यू. मेरे को बोलते बोलते एडू सेवा थोड़ा बोलते बोलते अजीब लग रहा था, ठीक है? तो हम लोगों को क्विकली समराइजिंग, द पॉइंट इज दैट हमें वोकैब पे काम करना पड़ेगा, ठीक है? आई विल टेल यू सोर्सेज, आई विल टेल यू रिसोर्सेज, आई विल टेल यू बुक्स. मैं आज की क्लास में तुम्हें बुक्स असाइन करने वाला हूँ, ठीक है? मैं तुम्हें बताने वाला हूँ कौन सी वोकैब की बुक करनी है, ग्रामर की बुक करनी है, विच आर द बुक्स दैट यू हैव टू फॉलो फॉर वोकैबलरी ग्रामर. आई विल टेल यू माई पर्सनल फेवरेट्स, द वंस दैट आई लाइक, and I am going to suggest all those things, right? So I'm going to do that. Next, general reading. Ashika's question is a great one. It is terrific to read books. It is, I have, personally speaking, I have a library. I was trying to run a count the other day. I think now I have a library of around 3,000 books, right? And a personal library of around 3,000 books. I started reading when I was in class 3rd or 4th. That's when I started, and I started collecting books. So I will most definitely guide you through the whole list of books. So if I had an option, I had an option of making a career out of reading books, I would have done that. But the only thing is that there is no money in reading books. And I'm stating it clearly here. When I say read books, it means only to read books. I want a career out of reading books. I will not write the book review also. So nothing to do with it. Just read the books. So unfortunately, there is no such career available. So otherwise, that would have been a terrific career, right? Just read books, do nothing, sit on the top of a mountain, smoke what you like to smoke, and read. Chalo. Now, what is it that you need to do as far as VRC prep goes? The process is very, very simple, right? In terms of what is it that you need to do and what is it that you should be doing, right? And how many of you follow MS Dhoni? How many of you follow MS Dhoni? You like MS Dhoni? I'm not going to start the Dhoni, Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Steve Smith, etc. debate, right? But there is one particular thing that MSD teaches you, right? And that is something that we can pick up, right, from it. I'm only concerned about that, so no controversies. The thing is that he talks about the process, right? So if you look at all his interviews, right, the one great thing that should impress you is he will only talk about one thing. He will say, he will keep repeating it till the end of time, and that's it. His thing was, do not focus on the results. Do not think about the results, right? You focus on the process, right? Now, your process, which you are going to follow from today onwards, is you are going to read, you are going to analyze, and you are going to repeat, right? That's it. RAR. That's the process that you are going to follow. And that is a process, right? What is going to happen is, and I read one of the comments here, right? The comment here was that a person here is reading the Aeon, right? And at times it gets difficult to read the Aeon. We will talk about sources as well. So the thing there is that each one of us, would I be very, very fair in saying this, that all of you here, we've got around 300 of you out here today, which is absolutely terrific. All of you here, can I say this, that all of us have a different starting point with respect to VRC? All of us have a different starting level with respect to VRC. All of us would be at different levels, right? We would be at these different levels. And each one of us would have a different starting point, right? So now, since all of us are at a different starting point, there is no uniform one size fit all strategy for VARC. That is something that you should not trick yourself into believing, right? For some of you, Aeon might be a great read. For some of you, Aeon might be completely useless at this point of time because everything would go over your head, right? So then it makes no real difference. There is the principle of learning and improving is incremental learning. You learn one step at a time, right? So I am now at this point of time, because ज्ञान तो मैंने काफ़ी दे दिया अभी, है ना? अभी तो मैंने सारी जनरल बातें ही करी है. मैं तुमको पहली टैंजिबल टिप नंबर 1 दे रहा हूँ, ठीक है? मतलब तुम भी इससे पहले तुम कर नहीं सकते हो क्योंकि मैं एक स्क्रीन के पीछे छुपा हुआ हूँ. इससे पहले जुतियाँ उड़ के आए, ठीक है? पंजाबी में, आई एम ए पंजाबी बाय नेचर, सो बाय नेचर कास्ट कल्चर. सो इससे पहले जुतियाँ आए, उससे पहले एक तुम्हारे को रैंकिंग ऑर्डर, राइट? रैंकिंग ऑर्डर किस चीज़ का? रैंकिंग ऑर्डर इन terms of your newspapers that you should follow, right? सबसे ज़्यादा कॉमन ओपिनियन हमारी क्या है? कौन सी अखबार पढ़नी चाहिए? मैं कहता हूँ एनी टॉम डिक एंड हैरी इन द वर्ल्ड. कोई भी कोचिंग सेंटर हो, कोई भी बंदा हो, कोई भी टीचर हो, सब एक ही न्यूज़पेपर का नाम बोलते हैं. और अगर तुमने वो नाम ना बोला तो मार दूंगा तुम्हें. एऑन तो Aeon is a free website to use. You can go and read upon the Aeon. बहुत बढ़िया. शगुन, सुदीप्ता, पूजा, द हिंदू. हिंदू मतलब कोचिंग इंडस्ट्री का ना क्लीशे बन चुका है. वो मेरे ख्याल है वो कौन सी टीवी सीरीज़ है, एस्पायरेंट्स है, कौन सी है यार, है ना? मतलब मेरे तो हिंदू लगता ही वो है, मतलब कोचिंग इंडस्ट्री का क्लीशे बन गया है ना? इंग्लिश पढ़नी है, इंग्लिश का फैकल्टी हो, कौन सी एक बार पढ़नी चाहिए? द हिंदू पढ़ लो, ठीक है? प्रसाद बट रहा है. अब द रैंकिंग ऑर्डर फॉर मी पर्सनली स्पीकिंग, एंड आई एम गिविंग आउट अ रैंकिंग ऑर्डर हेयर, keeping in mind that where should you start from and where should you end up, right? Now each one of you is a different individual. I'm giving you a ranking order, please keep that in mind, right? Your starting point should be HT or TOI, right? इनफैक्ट अगर एब्सोल्यूट्स में बात करनी है, ठीक है, वी विल गो इन टर्म्स ऑफ एब्सोल्यूट्स हियर, योर स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट, राइट? अब दैनिक जागरण जो बोल रहा है वो पंजाब केसरी ना बोल देना यार अगला. हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स and Times of India are good starting points. Hindustan Time is a good starting point to start from. ठीक है. The next newspaper, these are good newspapers, right? Editorials सबके अच्छे होते हैं, किसी की editorials की language बेकार नहीं होती, ठीक है. बट मैं एक subjective ranking order दे रहा हूँ. सब्जेक्टिव रैंकिंग ऑर्डर का मतलब होता है ये मेरी लाइक्स और डिसलाइक्स और मेरी सब्जेक्टिव ओपिनियंस पे बेस्ड है, ठीक है. इसके पीछे कोई साइंस नहीं है स्टैटिस्टिकल, ठीक है, तो इस पर हम भिड़ेंगे नहीं. हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स, टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया एट द बॉटम ऑफ द पिरामिड, ठीक है. ये स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट है, ठीक है. इफ़ जिसको बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किल लग रहा है पढ़ना, ठीक है, आई एम जेन्युइनली सजेस्टिंग यू स्टार्ट विद हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स. जो कंफर्टेबल है थोड़ी रीडिंग के साथ, टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया पे जाओ, ठीक है. रेगुलर बेसिस पे मेक श्योर यू रीड इंडियन एक्सप्रेस, ठीक है. अब इंडियन एक्सप्रेस में guys, am I audible again? This is it's almost most definitely 99% my internet connection, which went dead for a second. I did lose my connection for a second, so apologies for that. Yeah, the net connection, it went for a second. Economist is a great resource here. So we will also I'll absolutely यार मेरा भी फ्लो ख़राब हो गया. आई नो इट इज़ एक्सट्रीमली इरिटेटिंग. अगर किसी और की स्ट्रीम होती तो अगर मैं किसी और की लाइव स्ट्रीम अटेंड कर रहा होता तो मैं छोड़ के चले गया होता. पर अनफॉर्चुनेटली ये मेरी खुद की लाइव स्ट्रीम है तो मैं इसमें जा नहीं सकता. ना तुम जा सकते हो. Yeah, absolutely. When I say newspaper, I am referring to the source. I am यार रौनक नींद आ रही है तो सो जा यार. अभी मैं उसमें क्या कर सकता हूँ? मतलब मैं रोक तो नहीं सकता किसी को. I am repeating the priority order. HT, TOI, then Indian Express. Next thing is on the list, right? I am placing it at par, ठीक है, the Hindu, right? And then at the end of it, my absolute favorite is the one newspaper that I actually love to read, right? And I regularly follow is Live Mint, right? Why am I placing it right at the end, or any specific reason for doing that? Live Mint has a good diversity of topics, right? Between this set, Indian Express, Hindu, and Live Mint, you should flip between them, right? When I say you should flip between them, you should jump from one source to the other. Every few days you should change. You will realize one fascinating thing. Each one of these has a distinct style of writing. Each of these newspapers has a distinct voice. Each one of these newspapers also has a distinct agenda. So how many of you have heard about wings of politics? How many of you have heard about wings of politics? Politics has wings. How many of you are aware of it? I have like a really, मेरे को बहुत ही गंदे वाला पीछे आ रहा है, बट मैं बोलूँगा नहीं. तुम सच्ची मार दोगे मेरे को. Jatin knows, Rimshim knows, great. So, left wing, right wing, right? Uh, so those are the wings of politics that we have, left wing and right wing. There is center, there is left of center, right of center. So each newspaper, right? मैं तो ऐसी यार विंग्स से तो KFC के विंग याद आ जाते हैं, तो बट मेरे बहुत ही बुरा था वो. मुझे खुद ही शर्म आ गई, मेरे को बोलने में, एक्सप्रेस करने में डर लगने लग गया. मैंने कहा क्या सोचोगे तुम मेरे बारे में, मतलब जो तुम सोच रहे हो मैं तो नहीं रोक सकता तुम्हें सोचने से, पर फिर भी. सो मुझे पता है यार अंकित, ये पीजे से भी बहुत ही बुरा था, मतलब ये नेक्स्ट लेवल था. इतना गिरा हुआ था. जोक ये है कि ये जोक कितना गिरा हुआ था, जोक ये है नहीं कि जोक क्या था. तो हम हर क्लास में अपने ये जोक के अंदर जोक था. अब इसमें अब एक्चुअल जोक आएगा जो मेरा फेवरेट जोक है, ठीक है, और ये जोक बहुत बार रिपीट होगा, ठीक है, क्योंकि जो मेरी फेवरेट मूवी है वो है इंसेप्शन, जिसके अंदर था सपने के अंदर सपना. तो ये था जोक के अंदर जोक, सपने के अंदर सपने के अंदर सपना. How many of you love the movie Inception? It is actually one of the PJ होता है यार प्रशांत जोक. एक्चुअली पूरा नाम होता है PCJ, प्रशांत चड्डा जोक. So how many of you love the movie Inception? One of my all-time favorite movies यार. It's absolutely brilliant. We should do an RC based on it. So I'll actually create an RC based on the movie Inception. That is going to be one fun class. And as homework for the class pre-work, we'll watch the movie. So that's something that we'll do, right? So now this is the priority order for Indian newspapers, right? So that's the one that you should follow. Now there is one small little insight that I'm sharing here is Indian Express and Live Mint have two particular sections. Please write down the names of these two sections. In Indian Express you have Indian Express Explainer. Okay? The title is Indian Express Explainer, right? And the next is Live Mint, right? So Live Mint may there is a section by the name of Primer, Live Mint Primer, right? So these are two things, Indian Express Explainer and Live Mint Primer. यहाँ पे ना तुम्हें they explain things to you. They would explain something happening in the world, right? And they would give you facts and they would give you reasoning behind it. So Indian Express Explainer or Indian Express Explained, that's the section, right? And Live Mint Primer. These are two sections that you should search and you should actually subscribe to along with the opinion sections. वो तो हमने OPED तो देखना ही है. So that's something that you should be doing. And these are the sections for these two newspapers which are going to be immensely helpful from another aspect to you. They are going to build knowledge as well, right? They are going to help you increase your GK as well, right? So your general understanding of the world, your general awareness of the world. समझ आएगा यार, मतलब फॉर एग्जाम्पल किसको पता है कार्बन क्रेडिट्स क्या होते हैं? किसको पता है कार्बन क्रेडिट्स क्या होते हैं? Just repeating one last time, Indian Express Explained, right? Explained or Explainer, that is the section that Indian Express has. And Live Mint Primer, right? It's right there on the front page as well. So carbon credits, right? So अगर सुदीप्ता को पता है, great, right? So अब कार्बन क्रेडिट्स कैसे वर्क करते हैं, कैसे ऑपरेट करते हैं? सो यू माइट सी लाइव मिंट में आर्टिकल प्राइमर में जहाँ पे वो एक्सप्लेन कर रहे होंगे कार्बन क्रेडिट्स होते क्या है, ठीक है? सो दैट इज़ द काइंड ऑफ नॉलेज दैट इज़ इमेंसली हेल्पफुल इन सॉल्विंग आरसीज, ठीक है? हम अपना यार वोकैब पे हमने देखना है, ठीक है, हमें वोकैब समझनी है, हमें अपनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग बढ़ानी है, पर वोकैब और अंडरस्टैंडिंग के साथ एक तीसरी चीज़ आती है, ठीक है, आरसी करने के लिए, वो है दुनिया की समझ, योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, what is happening in the world. ठीक है, how many of you are aware of how many of you are aware of things such as I'm running a quick survey opinion poll, right? I will now take out a series of 5 names, right? I will take out a series of 5 or 6 names, right? And you've got to tell me whether you know all of them or not. Fair enough? Fair enough game? Fair enough game, guys? I will take a series of names. I will take a series of topics, and at the end of it series, if you know all of them, you say yes. If you did not, you just tell me how many of them you know, right? So first is existentialism, next is free will and determinism, third is impressionism, fourth is neoliberalism, right? Fifth are cognitive biases. So out of these 5, how many did you know? You knew all 5. If you did, that is terrific. 3 of them, 3 and above is terrific, is good, right? All 5 is brilliant. 4 out of 5 is very good, right? So, and we can see some of you know 1, some of you know 2, some of you know 3, right? Some of you don't know these things. Now, how do you improve your RC prep? It is, this is my quickest check possible in the world, right? If any random person comes to me and tells me that how well am I prepared for RCs, I will just ask them this, that कितने पता है यार इनमें से, या ऐसी 4-5 terms और, ठीक है? That in a way, right? ये सारे के सारे, right? ये सारे के सारे नॉलेज स्ट्रीम्स हैं, ये किसी ना किसी टॉपिक का नाम है, ये वोकैबुलरी नहीं है, ठीक है? ईच वन ऑफ दीज स्टैंड्स फॉर समथिंग इन फिलोसफी, इकोनॉमिक्स, साइकोलॉजी, आर्ट और फिलोसफी, इनमें से, इन स्ट्रीम्स में से ये स्टैंड करती हैं चीज़ें, ठीक है? सो जब तुम्हें ये चीज़ें समझ आने लगी ना, तो फिर तुम्हारा कॉम्प्रिहेंशन बढ़िया है, ये फिर तुम्हें पता है, तुम्हें समझ है दुनिया की, एंड दैट इज समथिंग दैट यू गॉट टू डू. और ये कैसे होता है? ये इस प्रोसेस से होता है, रीड, एनालाइज, रिपीट, कीप डूइंग दैट प्रोसेस. एट सम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, राइट, इट इज गोइंग टू बिगिन टू क्लिक. तुम्हारे को क्लिक करना शुरू हो जाएगा यार, तुम्हें दिखना शुरू हो जाएंगी, चीज़ें समझ आनी शुरू हो जाएंगी, कनेक्शन बनने शुरू हो जाएंगे, राइट? सो ये सारी, ये डाइवर्स फील्ड्स थी, ये एक था ही नहीं, ठीक है? ये मतलब आर्ट से लेके, आर्ट, साइकोलॉजी, फिलोसफी, सब कुछ था इसके अंदर. सो ये हमें एक ब्रेड्थ ऑफ नॉलेज कवर करना है, विच ब्रिंग्स अस टू द नेक्स्ट टॉकिंग पॉइंट यहाँ पे, ठीक है? और वो टॉकिंग पॉइंट बड़ा सिंपल सा है कि आप रीडिंग तो करेंगे ही, ठीक है? रीडिंग तो आपको करनी ही करनी है, ठीक है? रीडिंग के साथ साथ आपको टॉपिक वाइज रीडिंग पे भी ध्यान देना है. यू हैव टू फोकस ऑन topic wise reading as well. That's something that you've got to do. Honestly speaking, I think online newspapers should solve your purpose, and I don't think so offline reading is required as such. So everything is available online, ठीक है? और you should be easily able to access newspapers online, so that's something that you should be doing, right? So अगर आज से अगर डेली बेस पे अपना चेक रखना है ना, ठीक है, एक बहुत सिंपल सा फंडा तुम्हें बता रहा हूँ, बहुत ही सिंपल चीज़, ठीक है? एंड अगेन दिस इज काइंड ऑफ सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू रीड से 2 to 3 articles a day? And when I say 2 to 3 articles a day, I'm not talking about front page articles, I'm talking about op-ed articles, opinion articles, editorials. How many of you read 2 to 3 articles a day? 2 to 3. Let's start 0 to 1, right? You can mention 0, 1, 2, 3 in the comments. How many articles do you read in a day? Alicia, to begin with, just newspaper articles, editorials or opinion articles, right? And Aeon is also included in this. Aeon, etc., etc. All these sources are included. Aeon, Guardian. Remember, in today's session, I only have covered Indian newspapers. I have not touched on international publications, and that is for a reason, for a purpose. It's otherwise information overload. Let's get started with one thing at a time, right? Novels help a lot, but practically speaking, it is tough to read novels. It is tough to find time. Each one of you or all of you might not be able to find time for novels. So that's something that is that happens. In fact, more than novels, I would, if you had to take my recommendation for it and you have to take my word for it, I would prefer you guys to read non-fiction books, right? Non-fiction is amazingly filled with knowledge and information, and when you complete some really good quality non-fiction books, right, they change your the way you think, right? It kind of changes. So that's something that you can do, right? Smithsonian is good, Aeon is also good, but these are not good starting points. So my point here is that what I recommend should be a good starting point for everyone, right? And that's something that you should do. वेब सीरीज देखनी चाहिए इंग्लिश वाली? इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल है ये. एंटरटेनमेंट के लिए तो वेब सीरीज देखनी चाहिए, ठीक है. इंग्लिश कितनी सीखोगे? विल probably improve your communication a little, right? And will probably help you improve your communication a little. RCs, I'm not really that sure, right? Unless and until it is like a terrific web series, right, which has a lot of knowledge and information in it. Big Bang Theory, I'm really not sure whether you should depend on Sheldon for improving your reading comprehensions. It improves. Absolutely, Gayatri. I have absolutely. There is, in terms of communications and your language skills, it helps, right? I'm not denying. So I'm not saying that it doesn't help, but I'm taking it to the next level. I'm saying, will it help you in solving RCs? So that's where I think for RCs, reading is still required. You can't get away with it. So the point is that for RCs, reading will be still required. Good starting point. You can, English podcasts are also a good starting point. You should listen to them. There are some great podcasts on Spotify as well. And those of you who, American Psycho is a great movie here. I love that movie. I can suggest some books, non-fiction books. In fact, I've got a whole list of them, and it depends on the category or the genre you want to read in. So with books, always do one thing, right? Always tell the genre that this is the genre that you want to read in, right? Should I give you one heavy podcast to listen to for today? Absolutely, Sonali. You can start with which is the last non-fiction book that you read and you enjoyed reading? Ranveer Allahabadia. Okay. The Silent Patient Psychology. Okay. Alchemist. Last book that you read? Anyone? And everyone? Start with the editorial for now. Right. A good starting point is Sapiens. Educated by Tara Westover is also good. Right. Sapiens. Nikhil Kamath podcast is very good. Right. And Joe Rogan is terrific. Atomic Habits is good by James Clear. Power of Habits, Thinking Fast and Slow. 1984 is fiction, so it's more of a dystopian novel. Kite Runner is brilliant, makes you cry. So Think and Grow Rich. These are great, yeah, great books. The Last Mughal by William Dalrymple is also great. So Sophie's World is terrific, yeah. So if you've read the Sophie's World, the next good book for after Sophie's World is you can read All About Philosophy by Will Durant. That's the next book that you can read. So that's actually Ikigai is also great. Silent Spring. This is great, yeah. You guys are reading some terrific stuff. Really, really happy in reading these comments. Nicholas Sparks is good for entertainment, as in it's good. Joey Dispenza is also great. So Gayatri, you do like to read uh, content by doctors, books by doctors. So there is one particular doctor that I love, whose work that I love. That is Atul Gawande. You should read Better by Atul Gawande. That is very, very nice, right? And Power of Subconscious Mind is great. If you want to start reading books, you should start in a level wise manner, right? uh, if I have to, Kafka is great, but if you like literature, what should you read after Sapiens? uh, do you guys want to improve your critical reasoning? This is just like completely off the cuff, because then I can give you one book for the whole batch for all of you here, right? It is going to help you improve your critical reasoning. How so? I will explain in a session. One book which is going to help you improve your critical reasoning skills. So, Almanac of Naval Ravikant is terrific, Bhagesh. That is my Bible. So the podcast that I was going to recommend was Naval Ravikant. So I adore that guy. He's the founder of Angel List. You should listen to Naval Ravikant. He is just amazingly brilliant, right? And one of the best out there. And his book recommendations are also absolutely insane, right? One book that I'm recommending to all of you, right? So there is this stream of books in economics that we have. These books basically they take up case studies from the real world and they put them across in a very, very interesting manner. So you've got the Armchair Economist, you've got uh, Nicholas Taleb's books, and you've got all Nassim Taleb's books, and these are all some terrific books. But the book that we'll start off with is one which is very popular in popular culture as well, right? And it's been a particularly famous book, Freakonomics, right? Freakonomics is going to help you learn critical reasoning, right? Freakonomics is going to help you learn critical reasoning. Now, I have done one very small little subconscious trick that I have played with you here is, what is the reason that any particular person has for reading a book? What is a person's reason for reading a book? Either you listen to severe criticism of a book, or you listen to some great praise for that particular work, right? So either criticism or praise, they play this amazing role of nudging us into reading that particular book. Here I am attaching a small little psychological nudge, right? And when I say read a book here, I say when you get recommendations from others, the यहाँ पे एक asterisk है, terms and conditions apply. That is when you hear a book recommended by someone else, right? So वो recommendation works अगर उसके साथ कुछ ना कुछ praise हो या कुछ supreme negativity हो या which creates a little bit of interest and curiosity. यहाँ पे मैं तुम्हें एक tangible target दे रहा हूँ चेस करने के लिए फ्रीकोनॉमिक्स में से. फ्रीकोनॉमिक्स से तुम क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग समझ सकते हो. फ्रीकोनॉमिक्स से तुम क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग में, हम जब क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग पढ़ेंगे तो हम उसमें assumptions ढूंढेंगे. We will search for assumptions, we will search for arguments, we will search for facts and conclusions, we will try to figure out those things, and we will learn that Freakonomics actually has all of that. So वो करो. एंड पॉडकास्ट का रिकमेंडेशन सबके लिए आज नवल रविकांत. दैट इज माय रिकमेंडेशन फॉर द पॉडकास्ट, राइट? लेट्स गेट बैक टू द स्लाइड्स नाउ. वी segued into books and let's find our way back. Let's meander our way back to the slides because there is a lot of work that I'm going to give you today, right? You are not going to escape easily. So if you are reading 0 articles a day, right, what is your target for tomorrow? If you are reading 0 articles for today, your target is 1, right? So your target is 1 article for tomorrow. If you are reading 1 article today, your target for tomorrow is 2 articles. If you are reading 2, your target for tomorrow is 3 articles. That's it, as simple as possible. Right now, anywhere between 0 to 3 articles, on average 2 articles a day is great reading. It's great amount of input. That is the bare minimum that you should do. Gayatri, absolutely. Thomas Friedman is also good. The World is Flat is also good. But the only thing is now there are logical arguments which are coming up to the fact that whether the world is actually flat or not, because different countries are putting up different economic barriers. When Thomas Friedman when he did write that book, the world was turning flattish, but now we've got a counter movement in economics where different nations are putting up fences and they are not allowing trade in that manner that Thomas Friedman talks about. You should read all types of articles. To begin with, you should read from the areas that interest you, right? That is the starting point. And along with that, all the newspapers that we talked about, all the things that we talked about, you pick up a couple of articles, right, from those sources, right? That is something that you have to do, right? Source for reading articles, Khushi, I already spoke about a few websites like about 10 minutes back. That is something that you've got to do, and that is something I think Levitt and two guys, Dubner and Levitt, Freakonomics, if I'm right, I'm not mistaken. You can, there's a very difficult website. It is starts with the letter G and has 6 letters in it. So you can find that website and type who's the author of Freakonomics. Tough website to find. I will do that as well. So Suraj, I will help you read articles as well. I'll help you go through it. So one thing that you've got to do in terms of planning your preparation, conceptually you should be done with all your concepts by May or April or May max. Verbal has all the concepts that Verbal has should be done by then. You should not really have anything left beyond that. And then it should just be about practice and learning more and more, and focusing on one topic at a time. One thing that you can do with respect to your reading is you can start reading topic wise, right? How many of you have ever approached reading in this manner where you've said for the next 1 week I'm going to read philosophy related content? How many of you have ever done this? Or for the next 1 week I'm going to read psychology related content, where you focused on like one particular topic, one particular stream or knowledge stream, right? So what happens is when you start focusing on these particular knowledge streams, which are the different, so I will ask you one very simple question. From how many areas do RCs appear? From how many areas do RCs appear? Can you write the names of different areas? Right. So when I talk of different areas, I'm talking about philosophy, I'm talking about psychology. Which are the other areas? Quickly, let's type in, give me like top 20, 30 areas here. Then I will quickly point them out for you. I will quickly read them out for you. Areas. There are the big 3. Like, so we've got, like, you've got the big 4 auditors. Those of you who are from a finance background would know. You've got the big 3 in reading. Which are the big 3? The big 3 topics. There are 3 topics in arts: philosophy, sociology, and psychology. That's one set of topics, right? Philosophy, psychology, sociology, right? Then the next set of 2 interconnected topics, business and economics, right? So that's the next set of connected topics. Then you've got history, art and culture, right? History, art and culture, right? Politics is a great topic, but politics is actually a part of sociology as well, right? But you can actually take it as a part. You can regard it as a separate topic because politics is there in our everyday lives. Sociology, great respect for the subject of sociology, and great things to learn from it, Alicia. Uh, so now, then you've got these topics, right? Then you've got science and technology, right? Then you've got sports as streams. Then you've got some very, very particular topics that CAT has this habit of asking you RCs from. Topics that you might not necessarily view as topics in themselves. They are subsets of other topics, but these appear in CAT. Feminism is one. Race and racism is another, right? Literature is another, right? Art is now, art and culture is आर्ट एंड कल्चर इज अनदर एरिया, राइट, जिसकी हमें नॉलेज बहुत कम होती है. History is most definitely another area, right? So you can see there are these n number of different areas. We've already, I think we've covered right 15 or 17 or around approximately 15 to 20 areas here, right? And this is not even thinking too hard about them. Now imagine over the next 20 weeks, you pick up one particular week and you read up one particular topic, right? You focus and attack on one particular topic or one particular kind of content. You start doing that, right? But for that, you will have to be religious about it. You will have to list down the topics and then attack them one at a time. Once you begin to do that, what you're going to do is effectively in the next 6 months, you will become very, very familiar with different types of content and the terminology of different subjects at a subconscious level. Once you've approached different subjects at a subconscious level, right, you know that this topic stands for this, इस टॉपिक में ये वाली vocabulary यूज होती है, इस टॉपिक में ये वाली terminology यूज होती है, and that really helps your RC prep, right? That is a super useful way of doing RC prep, right? It's a slightly different way of reading where your approach to reading is topic wise instead of author or newspaper wise. So that's something that can be done. Absolutely. Question types तो tricky आए थे, right? Exception वाले भी आए थे, indirect questions भी आए थे. So those were things which were most definitely there, and we will come to that. So we are more on the strategy side today rather than the question side, hence talking about that. So would you guys be up for doing this? Would you guys find this useful, approaching one topic at a time? This is a game changer, right? Because see, point is this: now you're not only learning words, you're not only building vocabulary, you are learning vocabulary of a particular topic. You're learning words of a particular topic. When you learn words and vocabulary of a particular topic, effectively what you learn is, you learn, I'm writing it with just a T, terminology of that subject, right? Now imagine a situation, right? Close your eyes. I'm taking you to another world, right? I'm just trying to hype this up as much as I can. Effectively, don't close your eyes, but if you just think about it for a microsecond, if you know the terminology of philosophy, psychology, sociology, science and tech, art and culture, all the different things. Remember the 5 names that I took like 30-40 minutes back, which seems like a lifetime ago. You would know the meanings of all those terms, because जो content लिखा जाता है ना, at the end of the day, अगर तुम किसी topic से पढ़ते हो, right, then तुम्हारी उस topic की knowledge बहुत rapidly increase होती है, right? It increases at a very, very rapid pace, and that is something that we want. We want rapid learning, right? That is what we are chasing here. You can search for them, right? And you can search for subject specific books as well. So what I'll do for sure is I'll make sure I have a talk with Indrajit, and I'll actually come up with a curated list of books for these topics, right? So I have like a huge set of books with myself as well. I will curate a list of books, right? 1 or 2 books per topic that you should probably read for this topic. So that is like you would probably need to, out of that set of around 30 to 40 books, I'm going to limit it to 30 to 40 books, right? I'm not going to go beyond that. right? Out of those 30 to 40 books, even if you go through 8 to 10 over the next 1 year, you should be in a good space, right? I'll have to really think about that, right? Because I would want to pick some laser focused 30 or 40 books, don't want any content in the world, very specific content in the world. So I'll filter, and I'll make sure every topic is there, and some of those might be non-conventional in nature, right? So some of those might be non-conventional in when I say non-conventional, they might not be particularly famous, right? Those books. So I'll try to come up with a few of those titles, right? So give me, I think 4 or 5 days should be sufficient time. Next week I'll give you a list of books. I'll get it circulated, right? So you must be subscribed to groups. We'll put it up, and we'll put it up on the groups. We'll share it with you guys, right? Along with that, for topic wise reading, we'll work something out, right? We will work some content out for topic wise reading as well, right? I am a big believer in enabling students, right? If I keep telling you do this, ठीक है, मतलब यार टॉपिक वाइज रीडिंग कर लो, डेली रीडिंग कर लो, ये पढ़ लो, ये लिंक बड़े अच्छे हैं, बुक्स बड़ी अच्छी होती है पढ़ने के लिए, अगर मैं सिर्फ वही करता रहा, ठीक है, तो मैं बेसिकली पता क्या कर रहा हूँ, मैं तुम्हें सिर्फ ज्ञान दे रहा हूँ, फैक्ट है ये, मैं ज्ञान दे रहा हूँ तुम्हें, सिर्फ पेल रहा हूँ मैं ज्ञान, ठीक है. So I will go one step beyond this. I will actually collect content, right? Filter, segment, and I will get that content circulated to you guys, right? Last step इस साइकिल का, सो एडवाइस भी मैं दे रहा हूँ, कंटेंट भी मैं सिलेक्ट करके दूंगा, ठीक है, तुम्हें सिलेक्शन नहीं करनी, ठीक है, कंटेंट क्या पढ़ना है, आई विल सिलेक्ट दैट कंटेंट फॉर यू. लास्ट स्टेप इस लूप का तुम कंप्लीट करोगे, कंटेंट कंज्यूम तुम्हें ही करना है. That is something that I cannot do. So the loop or the circle of learning only gets completed when you consume that content, right? So the first 2 steps I will do it for you. But I love finding content for reading. That's almost like a favorite obsession of mine, and that's something that I will do. Right? Everyone on board for this? Makes sense as well, right? I'm backing up what I'm saying with, I'll back it up with actual content as well. So this will not only be just advice in the air. We'll figure out a way. I think Anurag, that's not too difficult. Can be on your groups, on your iQuanta groups, on the Facebook group, on your communities, on the paid groups that you have for the course. Any such way, I think that should not be, sharing content should not be a difficulty, right? Would be pretty easy. I'll just ask, I'll provide the content to Indrajit, and मतलब Indrajit can figure it out यार, तुम लोगों को deliver कैसे करना है, वो है ना. So CAT 24 students का secret group बनेगा, and we will share content on that group, right? We'll keep you engaged. We'll keep pushing you. ठीक है, done. So this is phase 1 of your prep, right? We'll absolutely continue with the slides, and we'll actually थोड़ा सा we'll rush through the slides now, ठीक है. So अब हम speed थोड़ी सी change कर देंगे. I'll assign you a few things to do, and because I want you guys, hopefully so तुम थोड़े से मतलब, I hope you guys are fine with spending a little bit of money, right? And when I say a little bit of money, I'm asking you to spend like 300-400 bucks. That is all. RC practice for now. How many of you are solving RCs? How many of you have started solving RCs? Yeah, Harshit will do that. How many of you are solving RCs? 0, 1, 2, you can write the number. Anyone? Sudeepta is, how many RCs are you solving? You can just write the number 0, 1, 2. That's illustrative enough, right? So to begin with, again, we do the same thing. Whatever you do, whatever thing in the world, right? You read, make sure you do 1 article a day and you solve 1 RC a day. That's the bare minimum, right? So that's something that you've got to do. and you've got to make sure that you follow that up and you do that on a daily basis, right? One, at least one a day, ठीक है? अपना ना daily check कर लो before you go to sleep. Just ask yourself, did I do the bare minimum today, right? So start with one, and start with one RC, start with one article a day. That's the bare minimum you can start with. Links have been shared where you can start your practice, right, in the comment section. So that's something that you've got to do. Gradually increase it, right? So your target now should be at this particular time from today itself. And when I mean today, it's today. There is no tomorrow, right? If you keep this for tomorrow, then वो कल का फिर जो भी जितने भी लोग जीरो लिख रहे हैं, अगर कल से शुरू करोगे तो वो कल नहीं होगा, फिर वो परसों हो जाएगा, ठीक है? तो क्लास के बाद आज एक आरसी कर लेना, कोई भी आरसी सॉल्व कर लो, दुनिया का मतलब सबसे सिंपलेस्ट आरसी भी सॉल्व कर लो, फर्क नहीं पड़ता. एक सॉल्व करके एटलीस्ट गो टू बेड फीलिंग हैप्पी. एक सेंस ऑफ सेटिस्फैक्शन फील होना चाहिए, यार एक आर्टिकल पढ़ लिया, एक आरसी कर लिया, इतना तो करा ना मैंने, ठीक है? छोटा सा टारगेट यार, इंक्रीमेंटल, छोटे छोटे इंक्रीमेंट्स में बढ़ाएंगे, ठीक है? सो स्टार्ट विद 2 RCs a day, increase it to 3 to 4 a day, right? Over a period of time, so you increase your consumption, right? यार अभिषेक नहीं यार, मैं तो ये कह ही नहीं रहा, इनिशियली मैं ऑप्शन ही नहीं दे रहा, एक आरसी और एक आर्टिकल हर रोज करना ही करना है. बैड हैबिट्स ना बड़ी जल्दी बनती है, ठीक है? तुम में से कुछ लोग शिकार हो गए कुछ बुरी आदतों के, वो बनानी बड़ी आसान है ना? बट इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू बिल्ड गुड हैबिट्स, राइट? मच हार्डर टू डू दैट. सो धीरे धीरे अपने आप को ऑप्शन ही मत दो यार, एक तो करना ही करना है, ठीक है? अगर हफ्ते में 7 आरसी टारगेट करोगे तब 5 कर पाओगे, ठीक है, या 4 कर पाओगे, ठीक है? लिंक हैज़ बीन शेयर्ड अबव, right? Ishan, depends upon your reading level. If you're just starting reading, you might not necessarily enjoy Aeon. If you guys, those of you, this is a common answer to everyone, अगर ये question सबका है, अगर आप लोग अपनी पढ़ाई शुरू कर रहे हो अभी and you are starting your prep and you're not regular readers, right? You don't read regularly. Reading Aeon really doesn't make sense. बोर हो जाओगे, छोड़ दोगे, ठीक है? फायदा नहीं है. You might as well start with an Hindustan Times or an Indian Express or Live Mint, right? So that's something that you can do. So that is something that you will do. अभी के लिए यार that's a decent number Ajim to start with. मैं तो I am a believer in bulk practice. तो जितने कर सकते हो उतने करो. 200 आरसी मेरे थोड़े कम लगते हैं, ठीक है? वोकैबलरी के लिए एक वो लाल सी किताब है, किस किस के पास है वो लाल किताब, द रेड बुक ऑफ वोकैबलरी, द रेड कलर्ड बुक ऑफ वोकैबलरी? नो रियल वर्ड लिमिट, यू शुड एंजॉय रीडिंग. वर्ड पावर मेड इजी कितने लोगों ने पढ़ी है? वर्ड पावर मेड इजी, नॉर्मन लुइस की. वर्ड पावर मेड इजी by Norman Lewis. A lot of you would have it, you would own it. Most people in this country own that book, right? Goyal Saab, the publishers, I think, have made half their money by selling that book, that particular book. Word Power Made Easy, Norman Lewis, right? So that's a book which is based on the concept of word roots, right? That's the origin of words, basically. And जनरली क्या होता है, कितने लोगों ने शुरू करी और शुरू करके छोड़ दी, कंप्लीट ही नहीं कर पाए कभी? शुरू तो बहुत लोगों ने करी होगी, कभी कंप्लीट कर ही नहीं पाए. कौन है ऐसे लोग? उसका ना एक्चुअली पहले 2-3 सेशन बहुत दिखावा है जिसमें वो लेफ्ट हैंड राइट हैंड की बात करता है. बड़ा मज़ा आता है पहले 2-3 सेशन पढ़ के, लगता है वाह ये पढ़ के तो वो गायब आ जाएगी. You feel like, wow, this is like so good. You're so into it. And then you reach that session number 7, 8, 9, where he starts talking about all those professions in the world and you kind of lose attempt. And then it becomes difficult to consume it, right? So my simple hack for completing word power made easy is skip session number 8 to 13 14 और 15, right? वो 8 9 सेशन ना स्किप कर दो, उनकी कहीं ज़रूरत नहीं है, उनकी समरी पढ़ लो कहीं से यार। नहीं, वर्ड पावर मेड इजी वैसे ही यार, मतलब जैसे हमारे कल्चर में वो है ना अविरल, इसमें दुख ना मना यार, जैसे हमारे कल्चर में है ना, बच्चा पैदा बाद में होता है, पहले उसके कान में डाल देते हैं कि आईआईटी जाना है, ठीक है? वैसे ही एक लेवल पे जो लोगों को अपने बच्चों को इंग्लिश पढ़ाने का शौक है, वर्ड पावर मेड इजी तो सबके बैग में डाल ही देते हैं। हर गली नुक्कड़ चौराहे रेलवे स्टेशन लाइट्स, यू हैव पीपल सेलिंग these बुक्स, राइट? Great, yeah, Abhishek, that is terrific. So that is one book that you can refer to. Like the Hindu, that is one thing which is recommended by all. In fact, my favorite book of vocabulary, and this is now, that's why I said I'll recommend two books. The second book, that is my personal favorite of vocabulary, book that I prefer or I read, right? हाँ, 8 to 13 सोनाली skip कर दे, skip मार दे, ठीक है, sessions. The book that I like is 6 Weeks to Words of Power. ईशा भी द ज़रूरी नहीं है, ऑप्शनल है। वर्ड पावर मेड इजी ऑप्शनल है यार, ठीक है? वर्ड पावर मेड इजी, आई नेवर प्रिस्क्राइब इट एज सच, राइट? ईशा iQuanta डैशबोर्ड से आपको मिल जाएंगे, ऊपर एक लिंक भी अभी शेयर हुआ है, आरसीज वहाँ पे भी हैं, ठीक है? 6 weeks to words of power, right? So this is Wilfred Funk, right? रिमझिम नहीं, ज़रूरी नहीं है, ठीक है? कैट के लिए ज़रूरी नहीं है। जिसको अपनी वोकेबलरी इंप्रूव करनी है, बेस्ट वे ऑफ लर्निंग वर्ड्स इज you discover words in contexts and you write them down and you make flashcards, but we might not be too regular with that. Hence, as a backup, you should cover a vocabulary ka book. A vocabulary ka book, when you cover a vocab book, it gives you rapid learning, right? Because you learn a lot of words very quickly, or you go through a lot of words in a very short period of time, right? So contextual learning is a lot slower, right? Isha, I think yes, live videos would be saved, I believe. Now contextual vocabulary takes time to build. When you go through a vocabulary book, you're basically shortening the process. You might not be able to remember everything in the book, but you've kind of shortened the process. So 6 Weeks to Words of Power by Wilfred Funk is a good book, and that's a book which goes by word themes, right? So he has collected different words, and these are based on different themes, right? So it's theme based vocabulary, so words of anger or words depicting power, etc., etc. So that's a nice set of words, right? So I personally, it's a much thinner book. It is based in 42 days. Each day has approximately 10 words, might vary. So plus minus, it has around 500 words, right? 450 to 500 words. I don't remember the exact count now, but that's a nice book to do, right? So that's something that can be done. The फ़ोन एडिक्शन तो आशिका बहुत आसान है यार, फ़ोन एडिक्शन छोड़ना। फ़ोन एडिक्शन छोड़ने का मुझे तो एक ही तरीका दिखता है, मुझे और कोई तरीका तो मैं तो खुद स्ट्रगल कर रहा हूँ। पानी में गिर दो फ़ोन, उसके अलावा तो मुश्किल ही है। बड़े वर्ड्स के लिए मेरा सिंपल ट्रिक है, मैं तो सारे वर्ड्स, मेरा पर्सनल वे ऑफ लर्निंग वर्ड्स इज ईदर आई लर्न वर्ड्स, पर्सनल वे ऑफ अप्रोचिंग वर्ड रूट्स। आई लाइक वर्ड रूट्स, मैं आई एम अ लैंग्वेज नर्ड, सो बिकॉज आई लव द लैंग्वेज, तो मुझे वर्ड रूट्स अच्छे लगते हैं। बट अगर मेरा प्रेफरेंस ऑर्डर पूछोगे, सो द फर्स्ट प्रेफरेंस ऑर्डर इज निमोनिक्स, राइट? Mnemonics is basically you create small little associations for words. So I'm just taking an example for a mnemonic. Gisa pita mnemonic hai, right? Asinine. What does the word asinine mean? What does the word asinine mean? Anyone? Quickly, quick answers. Asinine का मतलब? एसिनाइन का मतलब क्विकली depends यार, your call, you can start early if you want to, right? So asinine is someone foolish, right? So someone silly, someone who's foolish, someone who's stupid, extremely stupid or foolish. How would you remember this word? How would you remember this word? There is a simple mnemonic. A mnemonic is nothing else but a memory trick, a trade, right? So asinine, you simply remember it as अच्छा, मैं आ रहा हूँ क्या? Asinine, you remember it as 9 asses. वैसे देखने को कुछ है नहीं. वेदांत क्या देखेगा तू? हैंडराइटिंग इतनी वाहियात है मेरी, मतलब देख के समझोगे भी क्या? ये कौन बोलेगा, कौन आदमी बोलेगा ये 9 है ना? मेरे को खुद देख के नहीं लग रहा है मैंने 9 लिखा है. मैंने 9 लिखा है अपने हिसाब से. पता नहीं यार, मेरे को लगता है ऐसे, मैं कभी कभी मुझे एक्चुअली फील होता है मैं टूटे हुए हाथ के साथ पैदा हुआ हूँ. So asinine is 9 times an ass. An ass is ass कौन है? गधा है. So 9 times multiplied into ass is asinine. लिखा तो मैंने NINE है. यार ऑक्सफोर्ड वाली बड़ी बोरिंग है पढ़ने में. ऑनेस्ट फैक्ट तो यही है. ऑक्सफोर्ड वाली रेन एंड मार्टिन, बोर्डम से मर जाओगे. मैं तो खुद मर जाऊं, नींद ही आ जाएगी. इट्स ऑलमोस्ट व्हेन यू रीड ऑक्सफोर्ड की ग्रामर की बुक्स ना, यू कैन. सो हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव हर्ड ऑफ द एक्सप्रेशन द Britishers generally have a very stiff upper lip. They have a very stiff upper lip. What do you mean by a stiff upper lip? Anyone? When I say he maintains a very stiff upper lip. यार ये मोए मोए ना बोलो. मैं मतलब वहीं आके मारूंगा जहाँ पे तुम हो. आई रियली मतलब हेट दिस पर्टिकुलर मीम. ये वाली बाकी मुझे मीम बड़े अच्छे लगते हैं, ये वाला नहीं अच्छा लगता. जस्ट लाइक फाइंड इट इरिटेटिंग. So a stiff upper lip is when you maintain a very very formal way of, very plain, very staid, very formal, and it is a way or a style or a manner which is very very formal, programmatic, and you maintain this proper style and you maintain this proper expression, etc., etc. That's something that that's what you do, right? So that's having a stiff upper lip, being very strict and serious about it. So generally Britishers or the old society, this is society of yeah, having being very unwavering about it. Exactly. So you maintain a very demeanor which is so when you maintain a stiff upper lip about a topic, you maintain a demeanor which is kind of strict, and you do not waver from your particular thing. You stick to your guns, right? So Oxford English grammar से ना मुझे this expression of stiff upper lip, it's written in such a boring, मतलब इतने boring, strict, pedantic manner में है ना. So if the Oxford English grammar book had a face to it, so if you have to picturize it and give it a face, it'll have this really strict expression to it which is like really boring. और देख के ही मर जाओ आप, पढ़ोगे तो क्या. रेन एंड मार्टिन से भी मुझे सेम फीलिंग आती है. नॉट अ पोकर फेस यार. सो दैट समथिंग. यार मेरी फोटो है वेदांत ट्रेलर में. आई थिंक मैं वो ट्रेलर का बदला ले रहा हूँ अपनी इतनी बड़ी पिक्चर लगा के यहाँ पे, है ना. इंद्रजीत से बदला ले रहा हूँ मैं यहाँ पे. अब मेरे को हटा के दिखाओ. Exactly, bottle of water. Uh, so there is one book that I like for grammar, Better English by Norman Lewis. It does not cover everything in grammar, but it is written in, uh, let me put it this way, there is only a certain limit till which grammar can be written in an interesting way, right? Or grammar can be made interesting only to a certain level, right? So in that particular case, if Better English does a good job of it, right? Up to the level that it can make grammar interesting to read and consume, it does that job. So serves that purpose. So Better English by Norman Lewis, right? And next is you read uh, 6 Weeks to Words of Power. So those are two books which would be my personal recommendations. यार मेरे को अपने आप को छोटा करना है तो यार रुक जा, कुछ जुगाड़ करना पड़ेगा दोस्त, 1 सेकंड दे मेरे को, क्योंकि अभी देख हुआ मैं छोटा. Sorted now? Better? Do you guys approve? Does this work? तुम्हारा अप्रूवल ज़रूरी है. So in terms of the first phase of preparation, right? You start with 2 RCs a day, and word power made easy is optional, right? Next is you recommend 2 books. The books that I recommend are 6 Weeks to Words of Power and Better English by Norman Lewis, right? Section tests and mocks you plan according to your speed, right? And if you are, let me put it this way, if you are a serious aspirant, you will start taking section tests for VARC as soon as possible, right? So it is a reflection of your seriousness, right? So अभी इमीडिएटली नहीं स्टार्ट करने की ज़रूरत है, बट जितनी जल्दी शुरू कर सकते हो तो उतनी जल्दी करो. यार बोर्ड पे ना पढ़ाने का ना एक स्पेसिफिक रीज़न है, ठीक है, एंड दैट इज़ द रीज़न दैट दिस वॉल हैज़ बीन लेफ्ट एम्प्टी फॉर दैट पर्टिकुलर रीज़न. द प्लेस दैट आई एम टेकिंग दिस क्लास फ्रॉम, माई ऑफिस, राइट, इट रियली डजंट हैव दैट, इतना अच्छा इंटरनेट है नहीं यहाँ पे, ठीक है, इवन दो वी आर ट्राइंग आवर बेस्ट, अवेलेबिलिटी नहीं है. सो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट we've not gone to a board. There is really no point of putting it till we have that availability. So it should be there in the next few weeks. And I personally, might be my age or might be my preference, I like to teach this way because I feel verbal में board से ज़्यादा अच्छा है PPT, and a pen tablet does the job verbal के अंदर. So I'm not sure about your experience. So तुम उस screen के उस side बैठे हो तो तुम लोग बेटर बता पाओगे तुम्हें बोर्ड ज़्यादा पसंद है कि पीपीटी विद अ स्मॉल इंसर्ट विच अप टिल नाउ वाज नॉट दैट स्मॉल, राइट? न्यूज़पेपर मैगजीन अश्विन हम कवर कर चुके हैं, ठीक है. सो करना चाहिए अभिषेक, यू शुड, राइट? सो जुलाई एंड अगस्त में योर नेक्स्ट फेज ऑफ प्रेप, यू शुड बी engrossed with workshops, you should be engrossed by reading, you should be first round of topic wise reading, the topics that we spoke about, right? You should be done roughly by June with all those topics once, and then you should start your second round of topic wise reading. And here July and August you should focus on the topics that you find really difficult, right? This is the time when you attack them. And if you read for the next 6 months in a dedicated manner, you should have reached a stage where at this stage you will be able to attack topics, right? Vedant, I am based out of Chandigarh. So I live in Chandigarh. So that is where I am operating from. So reasoning, vocab, grammar, question banks, those are all things that come dhire, right? That's something that you guys can do. And धीरे धीरे अपने क्वेश्चन बैंक्स की प्रैक्टिस ऐड करना, ठीक है. स्टार्ट में आरसी और रीडिंग के साथ, राइट? स्टार्ट करो और धीरे धीरे ये क्वेश्चन बैंक्स अपने ऐड करो. वी विल धीरे धीरे एक स्टेप एट अ टाइम है, ठीक है. फेज 3 ऑफ प्रेप इज व्हेन यू increase, it stays pretty much the same, right? And then you increase your tests and mock tests and your RC practice, right? That's something that you do in September and October. That's phase 3. Everything gets intensified. It's like the next level of prep. So अगर मोटा मोटा मैं देखूँ ना, quick summary wise, right? And quick summary wise, तो तुम्हारा जून तक where should you will get all these things in the course, right? The course would cover all these different question banks. You will get all material, so you won't have to find, right? So that's something that you have to do. बुक स्टोर तो यार अमेजोन से ले लो. अभी मतलब अभी क्या बताऊँ, बुक्स कहाँ से मिलेंगी, मतलब कैसा ही सवाल है ये, ठीक है. So I think this is like 100 odd rupees each book. So I think 300-400 रुपये में दोनों बुक्स आ जानी चाहिए तुम्हारी. फोर्थ राउंड में ऑब्वियसली प्रैक्टिस, मॉक्स एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा, यू रिफाइन टेस्ट टेकिंग स्ट्रैटेजीज. अगर मैं कर्व देखूँ ना, ठीक है, तुम्हारा प्रेपरेशन का कर्व, राइट? इफ आई लुक एट द कर्व, व्हाट यू शुड डू विद रिस्पेक्ट टू योर प्रेपरेशन इज अप्रैल मैक्सिमम मई तक ट्राई टू कवर ऑल कॉन्सेप्ट्स, राइट? अप्रैल और मई तक, ठीक है, जो बेसिक बेसिक मोटे कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं, ठीक है. And then gradually over a period of time you switch over to section tests, right? And in this period of time you increase your RC practice, right? You increase your RC practice from, you start with 1 RC a day. June or July you should be at 3 to 4 RCs a day, right? So that's something that you've got to do, and that's something that you should be doing. Vedant किधर रहता है यार तू? So that is something that you should do over a period of time. VA के लिए रिमझिम, the best thing to do is, and for the first couple of months read intensively, ठीक है, and then start your VA topics one at a time. एक एक टॉपिक करते जाओ. कॉन्सेप्ट्स बहुत थोड़े हैं, ठीक है, और कॉन्सेप्ट्स में VA में एक चीज़ मत स्किप करना, क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग, ठीक है. इनफैक्ट यू शुड स्टार्ट विथ क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग. पहले अपना रीजनिंग का बेस एस्टैब्लिश कर लो, ठीक है. एंड जब रीजनिंग का बेस एस्टैब्लिश हो जाएगा, देन यू स्विच ओवर टू द अदर टॉपिक्स, एंड दैट्स समथिंग दैट यू डू स्लोली एंड स्टेडली. यू start practicing questions, paragraph completion, paragraph summary, parajumbles in particular, right? That is something that is you improve with practice. But more than practice, I believe reading plays a huge role in those topics as well. So if you are reading, and if you're reading intensively right now, and if you start with that, that is something that you can do. Free books के लिए यार, I am not sure. मेरी free books के लिए, there was a website that I was using a long time back, some time back, but it stopped working now, which is a website that I miss actually, and by the name of PDF Drive. I am not sure how many of you have used it. PDF Drive, I think this year they've taken down the server or not. The website is still live, but you can no longer download books from it. That was like a terrific place. You could find any book on it, right? So that was my go-to up till last year, right? Now I have done something very simple. I have taken a Kindle Unlimited subscription, right? So मतलब मेरे को तो वो सिंपल लगता है यार, मतलब बैठ के डाउनलोड करना बोरिंग लगता है. किंडल अनलिमिटेड ले लो, जो चाहिए, जो पढ़ना हो ढूंढ लो, राइट? प्रोजेक्ट गुटनबर्ग पे सब लेटेस्ट नहीं मिलेगा. PDF ड्राइव फ्री है. Z लाइब्रेरी आई हैवंट यूज्ड यार, ठीक है, टू बी ऑनेस्ट. आई एम मेरा बेसिकली बुक्स का अभी भी, इवन दो आई हैव अ Kindle Unlimited subscription and I use a Kindle, but मेरा still अभी भी preferred form is buying books. So in fact I got one delivered today as well, which was this guy who's written The Psychology of Money, right? His new book has come out, same as ever. So the guy who has written Psychology of Money, he has written a book same as ever. Some I'm forgetting the name, Hansel or something. Please यार एक Google search करके नाम बता दो. Psychology of Money का author, right? So I just got that delivered today. So that's something that I'm planning to read tonight. So I generally every night one thing that I like to do is, instead of using the phone, I read for a couple of hours. So Morgan Housel, yeah. Morgan Hansel, I think, I believe, right? So that's something that ocean of PDF. Great. I'll look up at these sources, right? Great, yeah. Pakistan did become pretty liberal. Vedant, housing Mishras now. Morgan Housel, yeah. Thanks, yaar. Thanks for helping me out with the name. I think the new book is same as ever, right? I just got it delivered today. I just opened the package before the class. तो में से कितनों को शौक है? मेरे को लगता है मैं आधी बुक्स, इनफैक्ट ये तो ऑनेस्ट कन्फेशन है, काफ़ी सारी बुक्स ऐसे भी होती हैं जो मैं ऑर्डर कर लेता हूँ और पढ़ता नहीं हूँ. आई डोंट रीड एवरी बुक दैट आई ऑर्डर. आई एम अ होर्डर ऑफ बुक्स. सो काफ़ी सारी बुक्स मैंने होर्ड भी कर रखी हैं. तो ऑनेस्ट कन्फेशन है, झूठ नहीं बोल रहा, ठीक है. But I do have a lot of books and I read a lot, but I hoard a lot of books as well. So this was about the basic introduction, right? About things with respect to VRC prep and how you should go about them, how you should get started, right? And सो अगर समराइज करना है क्विकली, ठीक है, क्या रिकमेंडेड बुक्स फॉर VRC, मतलब मैं आई बी वेरी वेरी ऑनेस्ट, आई एक्चुअली डोंट रिकमेंड, एंड दिस इज़ नॉट because of any bias, but I genuinely really do not like any book out there for VRC prep, right? Most of them have rehashed CAT previous year questions जो तुम्हें वैसे ही मिल जाते हैं. So the books out there are really not worth buying. ठीक है, मेरा मतलब that's my genuine belief. So I really don't recommend any book for VRC, right? Norman Lewis को कैसे पढ़े? Manisha, I think you asked that question previously as well. What you should do with Norman Lewis, word power made easy in particular, is because otherwise you will struggle completing that book. So do it in small little sprints where you set yourself a target that the next 3 days या next 2 days में मैंने ये उसका ना ये सेशंस का सेट है. सो सेशन 1 to 3 ऐसे उसमें कलेक्शंस है ना. तो एक स्पेसिफिक टारगेट दे के कंप्लीट करो, राइट? एंड दैट इज़ समथिंग दैट वी गॉट टू डू, एंड दैट इज़ समथिंग दैट एक एक उसका टारगेट करो और छोटे छोटे नोट्स बनाओ यार. मेरे हिसाब से तो आई would the one way of learning words for me is I make root diagrams, ठीक है. So basically you have Norman Lewis में and you should make your own root diagrams, right? जो भी word root होगा उससे जो भी extend करे words, sketch them out on a sheet of paper and make sure you have these handy sheets for revision, right? Simple root diagrams बनाओ अपने लिए. नेक्स्ट जो टास्क असाइन किया था, कल से नहीं सॉरी आज से एक RC एक आर्टिकल पढ़ोगे, ठीक है. अभी के लिए तुम कहीं से भी पढ़ो, कुछ भी करो, मुझे कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता, बट वहाँ से स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट होगा, राइट? सो दैट्स समथिंग दैट यू कैन डू. थर्ड चीज़, जो बुक असाइंड है सबको क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग पढ़ने के लिए, ठीक है, क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग सीखने के लिए, वो है फ्रीकोनॉमिक्स, ठीक है. यू कैन टेक सम टाइम फॉर इट एंड टेक 2 weeks फॉर इट, and on the group, on the course group, we can have some discussions around it, right? And fourth task जो सबका assigned task है, ठीक है. We've got 3 tasks already. So like lots of comments यार. एक comment है जो repeat हो रहा है, right? Which is the okay. You are asking books from a particular author in the comments, right? I मतलब honestly speaking मैं मेरा ये genuinely without any bias I might not know these people and I'm not वो you should not really buy these books for verbal VARC there is actually no real book जितने भी cat वाली books हैं I'm including all of them are rehashed cat material ठीक है previous year cat questions हैं इधर उधर आगे पीछे करे हुए हैं ठीक है cat के हैं या दूसरे एग्जाम्स में से हैं किसी में कोई ओरिजिनल थॉट प्रोसेस या ओरिजिनल वे ऑफ एनालिसिस नहीं है ठीक है सारे वही अच्छी बातें बोलते हैं कि पढ़ लो एनालाइज कर लो कुछ अच्छी बातें तो मैंने भी बोली हैं आज वो जैसे कि रीडिंग कर लो ठीक है रोज़ आर्टिकल पढ़ लो टॉपिक वाइज पढ़ लो अच्छी बातें तो मैंने भी बोली हैं ठीक है बट आई विल बैक दिस अप विद कंटेंट एज वेल एंड give you guys resources to read, right? I will enable you as well, so I'll function as an enabler as well and make sure that you have sufficient resources to take up. So that's something that you've got to do. Fourth thing for vocabulary, and we were listing down the things for vocabulary, 6 weeks to words of power. That is my personal recommendation, and those of you who wish to improve in those of you who wish to improve in grammar you can refer to Better English ठीक है by Norman Lewis. So those are two books that I recommend. So 4 tangible suggestions for today. Those are 4 implementable suggestions, right? I'll just repeat them. यार अब 4 दोबारा कैसे याद करूँगा कौन करेगा समराइज यार कमेंट्स में लिख दे कोई फटाफट जैट का वी आर से सिमिलर होता है क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग का पोर्शन थोड़ा इंक्रीज हो जाता है और दे हैव द ओकेजनल ग्रामर एंड वोकैब क्वेश्चन एज वेल राइट heavily driven by reasoning and RC but they do have the occasional grammar and reasoning question that is present right नहीं यार कॉफ़ी और चाय से तो काम नहीं चलेगा वेदांत अगर इंग्लिश ठीक करनी है तो कुछ और पियो फिर कॉन्फिडेंस ही बहुत आएगा इंग्लिश बोलने का चाय कॉफ़ी से कुछ नहीं होगा step number 1 RC and 1 article right task number 1 that's something that you do right thank you very much guys Asta and Simran for writing that down one RC, 1 article, free economics, 6 weeks to words of power, and better English, right? ब्रांड तो यार आदमी का ब्रांड तो उसकी हैसियत तय करती है नहीं जो तुम अफोर्ड कर सको yeah and topic wise reading right topic wise reading that is something that you should go through यार I am a teetotaler मैं तो एक्चुअली चाय का एडिक्ट हूँ और आई विल phrase myself correctly here because these days I am a teetotaler I'll be like if you have to say something you should there's no point in lying but that change essentially happened post becoming a parent so I have a 2-year-old daughter now and I think some changes are natural in life they happen with time and age यार कैट के लिए नेसेसरी नहीं है ठीक है यार ऐसा नहीं है कि नेसेसरी तो कुछ भी नहीं है यार ठीक है बट CR इज़ गुड फॉर इंक्रीजिंग योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ आर्ग्यूमेंट्स का अंडरस्टैंडिंग बढ़ाने के लिए क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग इंपॉर्टेंट है इट रियली हेल्प्स यू राइट सो दैट्स समथिंग दैट यू शुड डू राइट सो इसलिए है हाउ टू रिवाइज ईजिली हर्ष फ्लैश कार्ड्स इज़ द वन थिंग दैट you should uh, flashcards is one way of uh, revising content very very fast, right? On some of these days what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my pictures of my flashcards. There is only one problem with me sharing pictures of my flashcards. I write them down. The only problem is the flashcards that I make are pretty much unreadable. Other than me, there is no other person in the world who can read them. And yeah, Naval Ravikant podcast. Thanks a lot, Gayatri. And absolutely, yeah, Sikkim tree I haven't tried. I am, and when I say I am a tea addict, you seriously won't be able to guess the number of cups of teas I have in a day. I am seriously an addict. Tea, I have an addiction. And the size of my teacup is this. This is the size of a teacup. Inception तो यार मैं I'll assign बाद में. It's like a full mug. You can't possibly guess how many mugs of tea I have in a day. Taj Mahal any day, yaar. That's actually pretty good, yaar. Ankit got it right. Tea addiction is like uh, insanely bad, like I've had. I will definitely, I have to try Taj Mahal, yaar. CR is important. Passage को जल्दी comprehend कैसे करें, right? I will have sessions for that. I will actually take you through the step-wise process of analyzing lines, dissecting lines. अगर आज हम धीरे पढ़े हैं तो मतलब जब हम पैसेज का डायसेक्शन और मर्डर करेंगे तो एक एक लाइन में घुस के इन्फ्रेंस निकालेंगे, ठीक है? सो हम पैसेजेस पे सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक करेंगे एंड निकाल निकाल के इन्फ्रेंस, एवरी पॉसिबल एनालिसिस विल कैरी इट आउट, राइट? सो वी विल डू दैट. So that's something that we'll do. Great guys, so it was great connecting with all of you here today, and I hope you had a good time. I hope I did not bore you to death, and teetotaler is the term I said, right? It was great to have all of you here today. Great to have. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for hearing me out, and plan to stay connected. Couple of things that I plan to improve before I get feedback from you guys. Two things that I know I need to remove is the music riyaz that I do, and the second thing is I need to stop saying right. So those are the two things that I am really irritated by. So those are two things that will happen gradually. You can keep reminding me every time I use them, so you can remind me. So I'll try to get rid of these two irritating. I will leave you with the word of the day for today. The word of the day that you are going to research for today is, these are two idiosyncrasies of mine in my speech. So the word is idiosyncrasy, right? So that's a word that you will research. So these are two idiosyncrasies that I suffer from with respect to my speech. So go look up these words, and I will have to look at the schedule for that. Yes, I believe there is an RC. The next session is on RC. So this schedule, I think my next class is on the 30th, and I have an RC session. So on the 30th, we will discuss hardcore RCs and how to analyze them, how to figure out things from different passages. That's something that we will do in the next session. चापलूसी करना नहीं है हर्षित. ये तो रिसर्च करो यार, इडियोसिंक्रेसी का मीनिंग तुम ढूंढोगे, ठीक है. रिमझिम, आई कम्प्लीटली मिस दैट यार, आई मिस दैट कमेंट. सो I'll have to scroll up, right? Which part of India are you referring to? Northeast? I might have missed the comment, so you'll have to repeat it again. Yep. An idiosyncrasy is a mode of behavior or a way of thought peculiar to an individual. So basically हमारी habits, repetitive habits जो हमारी build हो जाती हैं, कुछ ऐसी defining habits जो हमारी idiosyncrasies बन जाती हैं, हम repeat करते हैं, subconsciously हमें पता भी नहीं चलता हम कर रहे हैं, right? So each one of us has his or her own idiosyncrasies. Rimjim, which part of India were you referring to? Were you inviting me to? Hi Eduseva. Eduseva, मैं तेरा नाम भूल गया हूँ यार. तूने बताया भी था. I am really sorry for that. Yeah, Northeast, some of the best teas in the world, right? We'll see here, we'll have a few sessions and not really sure about the schedules. There would be some sessions for sure on YouTube as well. Sure, yeah, absolutely. I will. Isha is also from Northeast. Assam tea is, yeah, absolutely world famous. So, okay. Sure. Great guys, Shavik. Thanks for reminding me. Great guys. So चाय तो यार वैसे अगर तुम मतलब अगर वैसे ही देखो ना तो चाय हर जगह की अलग है इंडिया में, हर जगह का अपना फ्लेवर है. सो हर जगह के फ्लेवर चेंज हो जाता है. देर इज़ ओनली वन प्लेस जिसकी मुझे चाय एक्चुअली नहीं पसंद फ्लेवर वाइज, मतलब जहाँ तक आज तक मैंने जितनी चाय पी है, राइट. आऊँगा एब्सोल्युटली, आई विल कम फॉर श्योर. आई वुड लव टू हैव टी देयर. दी ओनली प्लेस जहाँ पे मुझे चाय अच्छी नहीं लगी इज़ बॉम्बे. I love Bombay, the city. I don't know how many of you are from Bombay. I've lived there for a couple of years, and so वो Bombay is the only place जहाँ पे चाय मुझे अच्छी नहीं लगी. The way they make tea, that's. जयनीति, प्रीवियस टीचिंग एक्सपीरियंस बस 16 साल से पढ़ा रहा हूँ और तो कुछ नहीं, ज़्यादा तो नहीं है. Have taught lots of students at lots of places. ग्रेट यार. या कटिंग चाय यार वो बॉम्बे की नहीं पसंद आई मेरे को. अपने को नॉर्थ इंडियन चाय पसंद है, पंजाबी चाय. श्योर, डन गाइस, राइट. आई हैवंट विजिटेड ओडिशा, आई वोंट लाई, बट आई एम नॉट द बिगेस्ट traveler in the world, and it's not really that fond of traveling as such. ठीक है. So sure Gayatri, I would love to have it. Class is done pretty much. We are just having random chit chat now. I think I am not there as of now, Shavik. I would be there pretty soon, right? Great, yaar. Great to have all of you here today. We should end this session now, right? And thank you so much for being here. Yeah, it's over, Tanu, now. Thank you so much for being here, and thanks for hearing me out. I hope you learned something new. अब अगली चर्चा चाय पे करेंगे. अगली चर्चा चाय पे होगी 30 तारीख को. चाय पे चर्चा आरसी की. चलो, डन गाइस. Good night for now. Thank you everyone.